guys, BoHD here, and Apple has officially announced iOS 8, and it has a ton of new improvements and features, and so I want to go over them and give you my top 10 favorite iOS 8 features. So while there were a lot of new improvements Apple introduced in iOS 8, some of my favorite had to do with the third-party integration they introduced in several areas. For example, they introduced third-party support for keyboards, so now if you don't like the stock Apple keyboard, you can easily throw it out and swap it out for something new, like a swipe keyboard that lets you type a word just by moving your hand around without ever lifting up your finger. And Apple did update their stock keyboard with a new intuitive typing technology that can actually predict the replies to text messages based on the context of the text and the person you're talking to. Your iPhone will essentially learn your speech pattern and the vocab you use, so depending on how well this feature actually works, you might not need to switch out and use a third-party keyboard, but I guess the option to do so is always nice. But Apple also introduced third-party support for their Touch ID fingerprint system, so you'll most likely be able to use it with PayPal and other online banking apps. But the coolest third-party integration Apple introduced has to do with active notifications and widgets. Yes, that's right, widgets are finally a part of iOS 8, and while they are different from Android in that they only appear in the drop-down notification tray, it's still nice to see. But active notifications are pretty sweet in that they basically allow you to interact with the notifications you receive without ever leaving the screen you are currently viewing. So say you get a message, you can simply reply to the message simply by pulling it down and typing a reply, all without actually opening up the Messenger app. And the same goes for widgets. So say you're watching an item on eBay, instead of actually opening up the eBay app to place a bid on the current item, you can do so right from the notifications center. And since this is now open to third-party developers, this feature will work with all sorts of applications, not just the stock Apple apps like weather and mail. And while the Messenger app has been updated to support active notifications, it has also been updated to allow audio messages along with receiving some cool new group messaging features. So now there is support for naming threads along with new group management features with a do not disturb option for each thread and the ability to actually leave a thread. And you can now share stuff much easier through iMessage with the ability to quickly attach voice, photo, and video messages with the option to share your location. You can also set an option to delete audio and video messages after a certain time period, similar to Snapchat, and audio messages can also be heard and sent from the lock screen by simply holding up your phone to your ear, much like making a phone call. But along with the new messaging improvements, iOS 8 also greatly improves the integration it has with OS X. So similar to Google Drive, Apple introduced its new iCloud service that lets you store documents and other personal data you may have on its iCloud service, which is available on iOS and OS X devices, including support for Windows devices. And iCloud now stores all your photos, even more than what can actually fit on your device, and there's a new search feature that lets you search by the album's name and time and location of the photo you're looking for. You can now flag your mail with a simple swipe to the left, and you can mark an email as unread by simply swiping to the right so that you can come back to it later. You'll also be able to type a draft and swipe it down to the bottom of the screen to essentially multitask and view other emails. Then you can come back to your draft and continue where you left off by simply swiping it back up. And Apple has also introduced a new health app called Health Kit, which actually displays all sorts of health and fitness related info by pulling information from various other health apps into one single unified health hub that centralizes the results. It integrates itself with websites like Mayo Clinic, and it can present weight, activity, heart rate, and much more. I think it's actually a pretty clever idea of Apple to utilize the health apps that are already out there instead of actually trying to compete with them. But the last two features that make it on my top 10 list are the Favorite People feature and Spotlight Search feature. The Favorite People feature is pretty handy in that it displays the top most contacted people on your multitasking screen so that you can easily contact them. You can just tap on your favorite person and you can easily call or message or contact them however you like by simply double tapping the home button. And Spotlight Search is pretty sweet in that it's essentially like Google's search bar that displays various info from various sources for whatever you are searching for. So say you type BoHD, you might get a link to check out my YouTube page or my iTunes music page if I had one, and Spotlight will also create a automated link for you to click on and search the web for BoHD. But essentially it works just like that for whatever you search for, so I can imagine it would be pretty helpful and would speed up the tasks you're searching for on your device. But overall, I was actually really impressed with how Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference went this year. I think it was one of the best they had since Steve Jobs passed away. I would have loved to have them release or even announce some new hardware, but they didn't, so that was kind of a disappointment. But I actually really liked how they bashed Windows and Android. I mean, sure, you can argue that a majority of the features they implemented in iOS 8 came from Android, but I always think it's funny how large companies poke fun at one another. I just try and stay neutral and laugh along and not let it bother me because it's all in good fun. But what do you guys think of iOS 8? Do you think iOS 8 is a solid upgrade over iOS 7? Let me know what your thoughts are, but leave me a comment right down below. I always like to know what you guys think. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that little subscribe button right down here so that you can stay up to date with all my latest Android and Apple tech coverage. But with that said, that's gonna about do it for this video, guys. If you want to take a look at some of my latest hands-on review videos, you can do so right here. But as always, guys, I'm BoHD from How To and More. Thanks for watching.